everyone. Today we have Ms. Shabnam Siddiqui here with us today. She is the Executive Director at UN Global Compact Network India. Ms. Siddiqui is also a wildlife photographer, a biodiversity conservationist, and who is passionate and committed to the holistic development of wildlife and forests. Ms. Siddiqui's expertise and experience as a leader in corporate sustainability and international development will provide a fresh perspective and hopefully inspire our students to understand what climate action looks like on a larger institutionalized scale. Thank you, Ms. Siddiqui. So the first question I have for you today is that the private sector plays a crucial role in sustainable development. And moving forward, it is important that businesses align their goals with sustainable growth. Particularly in the context of climate change, with increasing natural disasters and uncertainty, it is crucial that businesses develop resilient and adaptive systems. As a leader in corporate sustainability and international development, what do you think are the key challenges moving forward for businesses?
So I think different businesses have different sets of challenges. There are some businesses that have set realistic targets. They have science-based indicators, SBTIs, and with which they are forging ahead globally. And then there are other businesses who are looking at long-term targets and quite happy for zero emissions by 2050 kind of a thing. But what has happened in the last 2 years, especially with the COVID pandemic, we realized that we do not have much time for old targets, and much more now we need to get the targets closer. And two big examples of this was the huge temperature change in Canada and North America, as well as the floods in China. So without us knowing it, nature is saying enough. And if we don't realize that it is enough, then it will be catastrophic. But I think the problem is that a lot of businesses could have good intentions, but they do not know how to do it. So in that sense, organizations like the Global Compact Network India, that has both global and Indian companies, will help them set realistic targets, achieve goals, monitor, and go forward. We have just started. India is one of the countries that is part of it. It's called the Climate Ambition Accelerator, in which we're talking about how do you accelerate your climate ambition, because earlier goals will not work. And a lot of companies from India have signed up. They will work with other companies, other countries, 80 countries, businesses from there, and to see how peer learning will also take forward. So I think by push or pull or carrot or stick, everybody will have to move the targets closer.
Definitely. And I think, like you said about the rising temperatures in North America and Canada, as well as the floods in China, I think similarly last week, a few weeks ago, seeing the floods in Germany as well, I think those are images and Netherlands that you never expect to see in European countries like that. And that was definitely quite jarring to see. So my second question for you is that, so no sustainable development policy would be complete without taking into account diverse stakeholders from the bottom up. What are your insights on developing strategy that is truly inclusive and effective in multi-stakeholder scenarios, such as global food systems?
So I firmly believe that any strategy that is multi-stakeholder will work only because beyond unless all stakeholders are on the table with their challenges, with their solutions, an overall solution will not happen. We need neutral facilitators to take things forward. So I think those neutral platforms that are focused, and with the Global Compact, we are a principle-based approach, principle-based UN initiative, and the four issue areas that we had picked up in the beginning were human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption. So environment has been at the top of our agenda for 2 decades already. So I think multi-stakeholder, participation and right from the start, not that you have developed something and then you say, okay, this group can join and that group can join, but it has to be the we need to buy in stakeholders right from the start so that they feel like they belong.
Thank you. So my next question is, so the UNGC works with businesses and has developed several frameworks for companies to embed sustainability into their strategy and take action to secure a resilient future. Now, as the executive director of the India chapter of UN Global Compact, how do you think that we can leverage collective action in corporate efforts to increase stewardship of natural resources and create innovative solutions?
So I think collective action is a key to all solutions at the moment, and especially for environment, because what has been happening is that policymakers who are subject experts have been acting in silos. Corporates have been acting in silos. Academic institutions have been acting in silos. So unless all these groups come together, and because the skill sets are very different, so that kind of thing will help. We have just started a work stream in which we have a set of corporates, we have an academic institution for facilitation, we have a scientific group to fill in the gap as knowledge experts, and then whatever we do will be taken to the government, who will be involved right from the start. So I think that kind of collective action is important. And beyond that, I think the generation next is most important. Behavioral change is crucial to take things forward. And unless that happens, the best of policies will just lie in shelves and will not take forward. So the younger generation and behavior change, a mass campaign, is a need of the hour.
Thank you. So my next question is, it's a more personal question. So as a wildlife photographer and biodiversity conservationist, how do you think your experiences in this sense have influenced your view of sustainable development?
Oh, it makes a lot of difference because originally I am from Bombay, and Bombay does not have much of wildlife or greenery or green spaces. But once I started visiting the forest, and usually we would say earlier that if there's anarchy, in society, that it is jungle raj. But when I went to the jungle, I realized that they work in perfect, synergy. So the prey and the predator, the way they help each other, like the seasons and how all animals adapt to the seasons, like they don't need to think ahead, so those kind of interminglement doesn't make a lot of difference. In fact, some of my best ideas of sustainability come to me when I go on safaris. So when you're there in a pure environment, you start thinking, how do you preserve this? How do you keep it for the next generation? And that is where my best ideas come from.
That's very nice to hear. I think you're right. There's so much that we can learn from nature in general, and the way that, humans generally tend to approach things like we're like at war with our planet when it really doesn't need to be that way, right? You can see that anytime you go on safaris. And so the last question that I have today is, what advice would you give students passionate about the environment looking to take constructive action?
I think for students passionate about the environment, you have to find ways to get connected to the environment issues. So whether it is waste management, whether it is a tree plantation, whether it is species conservation, whether it is just raising awareness amongst in your societies, in your schools and all that. Those kind of things will make a lot of difference. And the word of mouth publicity that students can do, the reach is tremendous. So I think that kind of, and try to get into concrete projects, because if you see results of a project in 6 months, 8 months, then you get energized and then you feel like, that you are ready for the next steps to take forward. So I think getting more connected, getting more involved, and spreading the message is very, very important.
Thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. I think I definitely learned a lot in these few minutes, but yeah.
Most welcome.